Let's start by telling you that Nigerian-born British politician Kemi Badenoch has emerged leader of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, succeeding Rishi Sunak as leader of the opposition, the first person of African heritage to lead the party. The Conservative Party announced a victory on Saturday after the 44-year-old politician beat Robert Jenrick at the end of a 4-month contest following the resignation of Sunak. The election was said to have witnessed a turnout of 72% of members who voted.
Candidates will ever. The task that stands before us is tough but simple. Our first responsibility as His Majesty's loyal opposition is to hold this Labour government to account. Second is no less important. It is to prepare over the course of the next few years for government, to ensure that by the time of the next election, we have not just a clear set of Conservative pledges that appeal to the British people, but a clear plan for how to implement them. A clear plan to change this country by changing the way that government works. The Prime Minister is discovering all too late the perils of not having such a plan. Our party is critical to the success of our country. But to be heard, we have to be honest. Honest about the fact that we made mistakes. Honest about the fact that we let standards slip. The time has come to tell the truth.
Ms. Badenoch was born on January 2nd, 1980 in Wimbledon, London, but spent her childhood in Lagos, Nigeria, in the United States and returned to the UK at the age of 16. She studied computer engineering, system engineering at University of Sussex and graduated with a Master of Engineering degree in 2003. She also studied law on part-time at Birkbeck University of London, graduating as Bachelor of Laws in 2009. Her career began as a software engineer at Logica from 2003 to 2006 and worked as Associate Director at Cout from 2006 to 2013 and as Digital Director for The Spectator from 2015 to 2016. In politics, she joined the Conservative Party in 2005 and contested the Dulwich and West Norwood constituency in the 2010 general election. Badenoch was elected to the London Assembly in 2015, elected as the Conservative Party candidate for Saffron Walden in 2017 general election, and appointed as Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for Children and Families in July 2019. She was also appointed as the Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury and Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State in February 2020, appointed as Secretary of State for International Trade and President of the Board of Trade in September 2022 under Sunak as Prime Minister. And to unpack this, we're joined by Godson Azu, a political analyst. Good evening, glad to have you join me on the news.
Good evening, it's my great pleasure, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening.
All right, let's talk about what factors you think could have propelled Kemi Badenoch to victory today as UK Conservative Party leader.
Well, I think this is a very great historic moment for many of us here in the UK. It's a time for us to actually also have a good reflection on the height we have gotten to in politics across the board. And as we move from an ancient British political leader of the Conservative Party, former Prime Minister, to an African British, Nigerian British new Conservative Party leader and a potential Prime Minister of the future. I think Kemi has built her political career on a steady pace from 2005 to 2010, 2010 to 2017, and when she entered the parliament. And she has been able to culture herself in a way that she built her political understanding and lineage around the conservative core values and the traditions, conservative beliefs. And I think for her being able to taking time to tutor herself within these clear core values of the Conservative Party, which actually is one of the building blocks of the Conservative family, both those who are party members and those who are Conservative voters. She's been able to use that clear-cut understanding to buy her way through over the years, and this has shown up in her conversations. This has shown up in her ability to carry people along in her communication skill, trying to engage people with the reality of things, basically, and being able to be open and honest. But in fact, it's difficult to be open and honest in politics. But she has been able to prove that level of characteristics, which I believe if she is able to mold herself around that very well, she has a very strong footing to build a new, strong conservative energy for the next coming general election in the next 5 years' time. But the fact is that she's been able to tutor herself on what conservative is all about in terms of the conservative tradition values, the issue of family value, the issue of education, the issue of British cultural heritage, and being able to engage people based on the fact that she's not a pure English person, but having been born here in the United Kingdom and having spent time across the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, spending a couple of times in Nigeria, gaining some African cultural values also, and then spending a couple of time in the US, has been able to mold our understanding of global ideas, and also making that together with his conservative understanding has given her an edge over most of the competitors to be the leader of the Conservative Party.
Oh, all right. I mean, talking about British cultural heritage, which you referenced, with this feat now, Badenoch has broken the so-called glass ceiling. But do you see her emergence as a sign of being accepted among British populace?
Yeah, I think obviously she's going to, she in her statement, her acceptance statement, she said this is going to be a tough moment, but an easy task ahead. But I think it's it's going to be a tougher challenge for her, because she needs to do more now to convince the divide. There's already a divide in the Conservative Party. And some of us who have been following the Conservative Party in the last couple of years knows that there is an issue when Richard Sunak became the Conservative leader and party. There is this cultural divide. There's this issue between the English and the inheritance English people, such as the Asian African, the Asian British or African British or Canadian British in the party, and being a leader of the political party. Because it's important to know that Conservative Party is one of the oldest political structures still existing in modern day politics. And for you to emerge through that structure to become the leader from outside the English factor is not an easy task. And so Sunak has been able to play his role, and eventually he's been played out of the system. And I hope that Kemi will be able to learn from the mistakes of Sunak, the mistakes that he has been able, he fought through, which have led to the loss of the Conservative majority in the House, and also the divide of the majority voters of the Conservative Party up and down the United Kingdom. And so she needs to build the blocks. She needs to work hard to build back the building blocks of the divide in the party, and then the divide among the general British voters who have lost faith and confidence in the Conservative Party in terms of their openness to reality of things, and in terms of being able to tell the people the actual facts
Now, talking about bridging the divide, yeah, just chip in there, following your line of thought, Mr. Azu. You talked about her need to bridge the gap within the Conservative Party. Definitely, she has opposition even among the Conservatives. How do you think she can play her politics to remain in the good books of majority of the Conservatives?
Well, if she needs to remain, I mean, obviously there are about three divides in the Conservative now. There are those who are a bit more on the far right, and there are those who are believing to be in the center right, and they are the traditionalists. And so most people want the Conservative to move away from both the far right and the traditionalists to the center point, where it begin to build blocks with the modern day thinking of political strands and economic theories and practicality that can bring about an economic prosperity and development of the United Kingdom, of which Kemi needs to begin to look at this different divide in the party. She needs to have a listening ear. Most important now is having a listening ear, being open to hear from both sides. And at the same time, she needs to also be willing to focus to unite the party rather than trying to be all alone area of the problem and challenges of the party by herself and a clique of group of cabinet members or advisors or whatever. She needs to understand that the Conservative needs an extra 200 MPs to be able to gain another majority to have to take over government in the next 4.5 years to come. And so between now and the next 4 years, she needs to begin to work within the party, work outside the party, gain her more interest, more loyalty, more confidence, more trust, and gain a more opportunity with the generality of British voters, and avoid being an accidental Conservative Party leader that would not last up to the next general election, because all eyes are on her, based not only based because she's an African British or Nigerian British politicians, but also because she's historically one of the first African British female party leader of the Conservative Party, one of the biggest and the oldest political institution in the UK and even across Europe and around the world. And all eyes on her, on how she's going to be able to challenge the party in government and the Labour Party in issues of the economy, issues of immigration, issues of gender equality, issues of education, the healthcare. And she needs to come up with policies that would gender the mind of the British people, the policies that the all-inclusiveness of the Conservative Party will buy into and be able to support her while she's challenging and proposing or defending such policies on the floor of the House of Commons. Because if she can't get that support of the 121 members she has already in the House, it's going to be difficult for her to be able to convince the rest, generality of the members of the party to be able to gain candidates that will stand for elections in the next 4 years to be able to generate that almost 200 extra MPs to be able to have the majority.
Talking about elections there, apologies for botany, you talked about elections as something quite interesting. What are the chances, what are the odds or favor for her? Does this position have to become British Prime Minister one day?
Like I mentioned earlier, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for her. One, she's a woman of color. Two, she's a female leader of one of the most dynamic political institutions in the world. And her ability to be able to navigate the differences within the party in terms of her personality, in terms of the people she brings around her to work with her in order to galvanize the party back to reality for electionary purposes it's going to be a tough ride, because for her to be able to build the blocks to create the confidence and trust of people up and down the UK, to be able to have that conservative value strand on any candidate that stands in for elections come the next 4 years in the United Kingdom, it's going to be tough, because you keep the other parties that are really already made ground with the last election are not going to give up easily to the Conservative Party to have their way at the next election. So she needs to work seriously to get back all those who left the Conservative Party to other political parties to contest election at the last election, reforms the Reform Party, those that left into the Social Democrat, those that left to become independent, those that actually left to a Labour at a point. She needs to begin to work, because this could be the same people who can win the actual vote in their constituencies to be able to regain some of the numbers that she needs to win election.
And
to
that's
win
a
election
fine place.
and become a prime minister in the United Kingdom, it's not about you alone winning your own constituency. It's about you making sure that every individual that you have brought together within the party to contest election are able to deliver their constituencies. And for them to deliver, they need you to give a very strong position of the party. You need to stand on that trust of that position of the party to the general voters.
And that's a fine place to wrap up.
If she cannot convince the generality of voters, and even within her party, then it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. 200 MPs is not a joke.
I wish we had more time. We're pressed for time, but thank you so much for your insight on the news. Godson Azu, political analyst.
Thank you very much. We all celebrate Kemi Bonnock for her victory. We wish her all the best. Some of us who are here from the Nigerian stock and most of us are from Africa, we look forward to celebrate her. We look forward to join her in this great success of the future. And hopefully one day we'll have a woman of color, just as the Americans are struggling to have at the moment, a woman of color become the first prime minister of the United Kingdom. So
Many thanks for
thank you very
indeed.
much for this purpose, and I look forward to being your show again. Thank you very much. My great pleasure.
Thank you for staying tuned. President Bola Tinubu says the tax reform bills would not be withdrawn from the National Assembly. He rather explained that the bills should go through the legislative process. The special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, disclosed this in a statement. According to the statement, President Bola Tinubu received the National Economic Council recommendation that the tax reform bills already sent to the National Assembly be withdrawn for further consultation. The Nigerian leader also commended the National Economic Council members, especially Vice President Kashim Shettima and 36 state governors for the advice. And to unpack this, I'm joined by Dr. Samson Simon, Chief Economist at ARC Economics and Data Limited. Good evening, glad to have you join us on the news. Let me kick off by asking what your thoughts are on the recent tax reform bills proposed by President Bola Tinubu. How do you think, they will impact the economy? Okay, seems we're having some audio connection issues with our guest. I believe he's back now. Can you hear me, Dr. Simon? I was asking what your thoughts are on the recent...
I can hear you.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Okay, well, I was asking you what your thoughts are on the recent tax reform bills proposed by President Bola Tinubu. Do you think they will make any impacts on the economy? Okay, we'll try to connect with him in the course of the news bulletin. The National Association of Nigeria University Students have protested at the headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria over the recurring collapses of the nation's power grid. The leadership of the students' body voiced their frustration over the persistent power outages affecting large parts of the country, especially Nigeria's northern region, saying that many residents have been left in complete darkness.
If you recall, for the past 3 days now, we have been agitating because of issue of national grid collapsing always. So today we are here at the TCN and we are agitated. We have also met with the management where we have submitted our request, and in the discussion we discussed with the management vividly, and they promise us they will meet our demand as soon as possible.
And we came here today, and God so good, we were able to interact with the management, the leadership. And when we interacted with them, this was an interaction that we had been seeking for. This was an interaction that was very educative, because now we know what to go and tell our students. We know what exactly the challenges they are facing, and we also have been able to propose some solutions to them.
At about 1 p.m. West African time, the local government election scheduled for November 2nd, 2024 in Abia State was yet to commence in most parts of the state. In parts of Umuahia, Aba and environs, materials are yet to arrive polling units with officials. There is also voter apathy as polling units visited were with no or few voters. However, a visit to Umuahia North local government headquarters showed officials carrying their materials. The Commissioner of Police, Danladi Isa, is also assured of violence-free exercise.
Okay. The exercise is ongoing. We are visiting and monitoring. For now, there's no cause for alarm. The area is calm, and we are still monitoring. We're on ground. We have asked them to monitor and be impartial and make sure that everything, the election is fair, free and credible. That's why we are out. That's the only obligation we have, and that mandate must be accomplished. Thank you.
I came here to confirm. Yeah, we are ready to vote.
Have you been there?
Have you been to your unit? Yes, I just heard the material is not yet there, so let me go there and confirm. Thank you.
I'm discouraged because I thought that by now everything would have been set. But unfortunately, I came out. I didn't even see voters. I came to vote. They feel that their vote cannot count.
The officers have not come yet now. The officer will be waiting for them. Even few hours ago, when the Commissioner of Police, they all came here, they were asking us why haven't we done. We said that we are still waiting for the officials.
Earlier, our correspondent Chinwe Ugele joined us on the news for more on this.
The local government elections in Abia State is holding in parts of the state, although it began behind schedule, because it was meant to start around 8 a.m. we were told by the Abia State Independent Electoral Commission, but then the elections didn't start until past noon in some places and past 1 in some places. I'm currently in a community in Ohofia local government area of Abia State, and the elections began here past 1 p.m. and that's when voters started coming out. But in the town, in the city of Umuahia, voters, there's noticeable voter apathy, because you go to polling units, you don't see anybody. In places where you see people, you could just see, a handful of persons in those polling units. So yes, the place you're looking at now is polling unit for the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives. That's in front of the customary court in his community there. Yet there were no persons there to vote as of the time we visited that location.
Meanwhile, Governor Alex Oti describes the election as peaceful. The governor voted by 12:19 p.m. alongside his wife at his Ahiafo Umu Ehim Nvosi at Unit 17, Ward 5.
From here, you can see that everything is peaceful, and people are coming out, voting and living. So I believe, like you can see, that it's peaceful. Now I've also been monitoring what is happening in the other local governments, polling units, about 4,062 of them. And the report I get is that everything has been peaceful and smooth, except a few skirmishes in places like Ohafia and Obingwa. And as soon as we got information that some people were trying to disrupt the election, we mobilized security men.
Nigeria's acting Chief of Army Staff, Major General Olufemi Oluyede, has called for support from stakeholders to fulfill the mandates of the Nigerian Army till the return of his principal, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, who is currently recuperating from an undisclosed illness. And this was during the formal taking over ceremony of the new Army Chief at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. Our correspondent, Amadine Oyi, tells us more.
It is the first event of its kind in the Nigerian military. As senior military officials gathered at the defense headquarters in Abuja, the Chief of Defense Staff highlighted the reasons for the occasion.
Our brother and our friend, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, went on his leave and went for his medical checkup and had reasons to stay behind to continue to do his medical checkup. It is our prayers that he will get better, fit enough to resume back as the Chief of Army Staff. In the interim, based on the powers conferred on the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has decided and directed and appointed an acting Chief of Army Staff with the full powers and responsibilities of the Chief of Army Staff until the President decides otherwise.
He says that the military will remain focused in its quest to tackle insecurity, thus they need to appoint an acting Chief of Army Staff to help steer the army to achieving its core objectives.
For us as professionals, we are to continue with our task ahead. No gap to be left based on the challenges we have in the country. And it's in the wisdom of the President and Commander-in-Chief that today we present the authority to the acting Chief of Army Staff for him to have full control and command of the Nigerian Army.
The acting Chief of Army Staff called for the support of all stakeholders to succeed in his new position.
My appointment as acting Chief of Army Staff is simply to hold sway while Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff, is a way to enable him to take sufficient time to get necessary medical attention and recuperate. And that I intend to do with the whole of my heart and loyalty to the Constitution, as well as Mr. President. I seek everyone's support and cooperation so that we can succeed together in stemming all forms of insecurity currently being witnessed across the country and return this our beautiful country to the land of peace and economic prosperity.
With a new leadership for the Nigerian Army, many believe that the vacuum created by the absence of the Army Chief has now been closed. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The Nigerian Army has called for an enhanced partnership with the media to improve security communication. And during a recent visit by the management of the News Agency of Nigeria to the theater commander, JTF Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Wahidi Shuaibu said a collaborative approach could lead to more persuasive messaging that counters misinformation and uplifts community morale. He emphasized that the media's involvement is crucial in conveying the successes of military operations and fostering trust among the local population, ultimately aiding in the fight against terrorism in the region.
Use both the kinetic and the non-kinetic aspects of our operation. The kinetic being about 20%, while the non-kinetic is about 80% of the total war. to achieve whatever we have been able to achieve so far. We will continue to do our best to ensure that we meet up with our mandate, and we also count on you and other new agencies to report the incident as factually as possible to ensure that the Nigerian public is well informed of the activities going on all across the country, especially the military activities.
Some of the kinetic and non-kinetic approach we in the media have documented leading to the surrender of nearly 200,000 militants. I think 160 of them surrendered due to what I said, the kinetic and non-kinetic movement. And we must also acknowledge the effort of the theater command in decimating and taking the bite out of the venom, the poison out of the insurgents by downgrading their capacity.
Recall we brought you news earlier regarding President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bill to the National Assembly, saying it will not be withdrawn. And to talk about that, we're joined by our guest, Dr. Samson Simon, who is the Chief Economist at ARC Economics and Data Limited. We're speaking earlier on regarding what your thoughts are regarding these tax reform bills proposed by President Tinubu. Do you think it will make any impact on the economy?
Well, the reform bills, the reforms themselves have become necessary. Therefore, the bills that have been sent to the National Assembly they're actually necessary because there are some distortions that have not been helping matters. If you look at the VAT revenue in particular, that has been a bone of contention. States like Rivers and Lagos have actually taken the federal government to court because they feel they contribute so much to VAT revenue, but what they get in return is not really fair. They feel should change. So these laws, these reforms are supposed to effect some of these changes so that that's where the derivation comes from. So that when you contribute so much to the coffers, the expectation is that you gain a lion's share from that. However, some people that might not be contributing so much before these bills or these reforms may feel like what they were getting before, they may not be getting as much. And that's why the northern governors came out. But I think the president has a point, and this will go a long way in incentivizing hard work, in incentivizing results, because if you know that when you don't contribute much, not much will be assigned to you, I think you get to work and make sure that you contribute as much as possible so that you expect as much as possible from the coffers.
Well, talking about contribution, how do you think the government can balance the need for more revenue through taxation and also enable or create, a business-friendly atmosphere?
Well, taxation is strategic. It's part of fiscal policy and is supposed to achieve
Dr. Simon, are you there? Dr. Simon, are you there? Okay, seems we lost connection with him. We thank him all the same for his insights on the news. The United Nations Children's Fund has disclosed that no fewer than 3.8 million children will be vaccinated against measles across 4 northern states. The health officer at UNICEF's Bauchi field office, Patrick Ako, announced this at a press conference in Bauchi on Friday, stating that a vaccination exercise would commence on Saturday and would last for 7 days. He highlighted that the 4 northern states where the integrated measles campaign will take place are Adamawa, Bauchi, Gombe, and Plateau. According to him, the measles campaign have a target of 3.8 million children aged 9 to 59 months across the 4 states. Nigerians have been urged to support government's efforts in getting out-of-school children back to school. And this was during the handing over of a refurbished school at the Lugbe Timber Shed area of Abuja a slum in the Federal Capital Territory where many of the children living in the area do not attend school. Stakeholders present say this will reduce the out-of-school children bulge, as a school will assist parents and guardians who cannot afford school fees and provide free education for the children.
The only way a child can succeed basically is through education. And it starts with a very conducive environment. Very conducive is the word. Every rich Nigeria, wealthy, well-meaning Nigeria, look within the slum, not the city. Pick up a school that is dilapidated, is dead, is not conducive, is unhealthy to learn. Pick up a school. It should be a challenge for everyone that has the means. Yes, with 20, 30 million, anybody can do it.
So many children will come out to school because before Monday itself, the children are already everywhere. It will impact them. They will come. You know, it's free education here. There's no school fees. We are not conventional.
Nigeria's Minister of Youth Development has called on all stakeholders to support young citizens by jointly creating an environment for them to thrive. The minister made this call as he joined members of the nation diplomatic community to mark the 2024 United Nations Day and the 79th anniversary of the founding of the UN. Our correspondent Joshua Imarai has details.
The event is the part of the Future Youth Conference which held in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The conference had in attendance top government officials and members of the diplomatic community. The event, which is part of activities to mark the 79th anniversary of the United Nations, saw the UN resident representative to Nigeria express his gratitude for its vital role on the global stage in promoting peace.
This is Nigeria, a country that has consistently supporting multilateralism. Nigeria has sent its son and daughter in some of the most dangerous parts where UN support peacekeeping operation. Nigeria consistently take position at the global stage, which support international cooperation to solve global problems. This country has given so much to the world, and we are so grateful to serve the United Nations here.
The resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme urged Nigerian youth to take the lead in shaping the nation's future and driving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
It's time to reclaim your future and define the world you want to inherit. With only 6 years left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we are failing behind schedule. It's time for you, young people, and all of us to take the lead and join hands in co-creating the Nigeria we want.
Nigeria's Minister of Youth Development also called for unity among all stakeholders to create a conducive environment for youth to thrive.
I call upon all stakeholders present here, civil society, national partners, the private sector, the community leaders to join us because we can't do it alone. We must create an ecosystem of supporting every young people to thrive.
Reflecting on the United Nations legacy of multilateralism, participants at the event called for the strengthening of partnership between Nigeria and other stakeholders and the bid to achieve the UN goals as outlined in its Pact for the Future. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
Thank you for staying with us. In Botswana, the voices of the citizens have been heard. After months of anticipation and fervent campaigning, the just concluded elections ushered in a new era. The Umbrella for Democratic Change claimed a historic victory, ending nearly 6 decades of rule by Botswana Democratic Party. Our correspondent, Mongani Sisiba, is in Botswana and gives us more updates.
In a dramatic shift of power, newly elected President Duma Boko celebrated his resounding success with a promise for a new era. In his first address to the nation, he declared that his government will be a listening government, vowing to prioritize voices of the people.
I dare not fail. I dare not disappoint. And I pledge with every fiber of my being that I will do everything I can not to fail, not to disappoint, appreciating always the enormity of the responsibility bestowed upon me by the people of this republic.
In the streets of Gaborone, citizens express a mixture of excitement and cautious hope. The air is filled with anticipation, yet many voices echo a desire for tangible results, action that goes beyond mere promises.
We finally stood up for ourselves and we fully expressed the values of democracy, and yeah, I'm very happy.
I'm hoping for good education, better health care. I'm hoping for the creation of employment and the industrialization of the country.
Botswana faces significant hurdles, economic challenges, high unemployment rate, and a struggling healthcare system are on the new president's plate, but the citizens are optimistic.
I believe that many Botswana have a lot of hope fundamentally in that the new government will hear them and will consult with them.
While there is excitement, the road ahead is not without its challenges. President Duma Boko inherits a nation yearning for solutions, and all eyes are on his administration to deliver.
And I hope that he gets into presidency and he fixes these issues of maladministration and also mismanagement of funds in our country, which is becoming a very, very prevalent issue.
Meanwhile, the outgoing president Mokgweetsi Masisi has congratulated President Duma Boko on his victory, promising a smooth exchange of power for the sake of the national unity. As Botswana enters the transformative period, the message is clear: the voice of the citizens will guide the nation's future. President Duma Boko stands ready to face the hurdles. It's now in his hands to turn hope into reality. In Gaborone, Botswana, for News Central, Wongani Siziba.
In sports, Liverpool's Mohamed Salah has been nominated for the PFA Premier League Fans Player of the Month award for October. In October's Premier League matches, Salah contributed 2 goals, scoring against both Arsenal and Chelsea, and added an assist. Overall, Salah helped Liverpool collect 7 points from their 3 fixtures in the month, with wins over Crystal Palace and Chelsea and a 2-2 draw at Arsenal. The Egyptian star is in the running alongside his Liverpool teammate Virgil van, Nottingham Forest's Chris Wood, Manchester City's Josko Gravodiol, Brentford's Brian Mbeumo, and Brighton's Danny Welbeck. Newcastle puts a huge dent in Arsenal's title aspiration on Saturday, winning 1-0 to ensure Arsenal remain winless in 2 games in the Premier League. Alexander Isak scored what proved to be the winning goal in the 12th minute, heading home Anthony Gordon's pinpoint cross from the right. Arsenal struggled to get out of its first gear, and although they dominated possession, they produced just 1 shot on target in the entire game. Michael Arteta's men have now picked up just 1 point in their past 3 games as their title push quickly runs out of steam. Lando Norris reduced Max Verstappen's lead in the race to be Formula One world champion on Saturday by winning the sprint race at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. The 24-year-old Briton trails Verstappen by 45 points after he passed McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri to take the honours. Verstappen finished 3rd, but is under investigation for an alleged safety car infringement, which could cost him more points. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Kemi Badenoch elected leader of UK's Conservative Party. President Tinubu directs AGF to intervene, seek case file for minors charged for treason from police. UNICEF to vaccinate 3.8 million children across northern Nigeria. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422. Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.